Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you are having a great day. Today's stories includes cheating, relationship problems, infertility, toxic partners, betrayal, fake friends, and family drama. Be aware. Am I the idiot to divorce my husband and leave him with a kid after finding out I'm not biologically the mom? From Thrower A3's betrayal. I can't believe my life has come to this. All I ever do is go out of my way to help others, but on the few occasions I need help, nobody ever comes through for me. I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 35, male, for a total of almost 10 years, married for 7. We had what I thought was my child by surrogate over 2 years ago, because after 4 years of trying to conceive with no success, despite medical interventions, it turns out I am unable to carry a child to term. I had always wanted to be a mom. Devastated is an understatement regarding how I felt when I found out I have a medical condition that would make it nearly impossible to carry a baby full term. It was even more upsetting when I had to get a major surgery to remove uterine growths, with the hope to increase fertility, but complications during surgery warranted a partial hysterectomy involving removal of my uterus only. I still had my ovaries, so we started looking into cost of a surrogate, but it is really expensive, so my close friend since college, who'd already had 2 kids of her own, offered to serve as the surrogate for us, to cut down on costs. After 2 disappointing IVF sessions, that did not result in pregnancy, she became pregnant on the 3rd try and carried a boy to term for us. I was so happy and busy after the birth, between being a mom and returning to work after a 4-week parental leave, so I didn't notice any warning signs. I should have noticed the red flags and warning signs early on, but did not, because I was so exhausted from working so much at my stressful job and 2 part-time jobs to cover most of the bills and anticipated medical and legal costs associated with this friend becoming our surrogate. I was the primary breadwinner. My friend and my husband started talking more, and I would sometimes come home from my weekend job to find her already hanging out at our house when my husband was there. I chalked it up as innocuous, and it's good for her to know my husband better, since she was in the process of hopefully carrying our child for us. I was grateful to have someone helping us have a child. I also thought it weird that our son has brown eyes when both of us have blue. Then I found out that while this is uncommon, it's possible sometimes due to many genes controlling eye color. Recently it all came to a head when I took our son to a doctor's appointment and they did metabolic panel and blood tests, which showed that he had a blood type that is not biologically possible to have with me as his mother. He's B positive, I'm a positive, husband is O positive. Immediately I started worrying it was the fertility clinic's fault, and that they'd messed up and implanted a wrong embryo. I started lining up lawyer consultations to possibly sue the clinic, and looked into having a DNA parentage test done. The test results showed that I'm not the mother, but my husband still is the father. I was heartbroken and angrier than ever, talked to lawyers about medical malpractice in the fertility clinic we'd used. Then my husband confessed that he'd slept with my friend, our surrogate, on a few different occasions during our struggle to have her get pregnant with our embryos. Oh my God. This means what I thought was our son conceived by IVF and carried with a surrogate isn't my son at all, and was in fact conceived the old-fashioned way, which I can't ever do. Good God. Livid and absolutely broken at the same time, doesn't even begin to describe how I feel. I have been breaking down into crying spells over and over again about this. He claims he didn't ever think pregnancy could result, because he pulled out. Yeah, because this is always effective. And he had always assumed that he was the reason for our earlier struggles to conceive, both before my hysterectomy and during the IVF insemination process with this friend. And because of that he thought this was a good excuse for him to cheat? I felt an immediate triple betrayal. From what was supposed to be my husband, my friend, and now knowing my child isn't even really mine. I had such white-hot rage and delirium, I immediately left home and stayed at a hotel for almost a week, before asking my parents to let me stay at home for a while. I admit I left our son with him. I am now filing for divorce, because he cheated and betrayed me in the worst possible way. I have also cut off my friendship with my, quote, friend, the, quote, surrogate, and feel afraid to trust anyone else now. I have seen a divorce lawyer to see about giving up my legal rights to this kid, so I don't have to face such betrayal, or owe child support. My husband and friend/surrogate admit they were wrong and keep apologizing, but also called me immature and heartless to just give up on my son like that. My parents also say I can't just give up on a kid that I went through so many legal and medical hoops to have. When I told them I refused to stay in a cheater marriage and I'd rather adopt someday with a better, more trustworthy partner, they also told me I was wrong and that maintaining my parental rights isn't much different than if I adopted outright. They said it isn't blood that makes a family, they are all about me divorcing my cheater husband, but keep telling me I'm making a mistake giving up my parental rights. Some of my other friends agree with what I'm doing, a few admitted they weren't big enough to swallow pride and care for an affair baby, or to see daily reminders of my friend/surrogate's betrayal every time I get, quote, her son. I just want a clean break and a fresh start. I'm also looking at relocating several states away. So am I the idiot to give up my parental rights in the divorce, because a kid I paid a lot of money to have born by surrogacy isn't biologically mine at all, but the surrogate's? Also OP replies to the comments and give us more info. He, ex-husband, feels like biological maternity shouldn't matter that much, when it means I am finally fulfilling my dream of becoming a mother. He says that if I adopt someday, I am still going to have to raise a child that is not biologically mine. Yeah, that is definitely the same thing. He has reminded me about what a depressive wreck I was during the infertility, the aftermath of my partial hysterectomy, and how I put him through the ringer because I was obsessed with wanting to have a child. He claims that I pushed him away with my baby obsession and he couldn't deal with me anymore, and that's why he started spraying the way he did. He also says that I can't just turn my back on a child when I legally signed all the paperwork, which is similar to adoption paperwork, since the state doesn't readily recognize a child born to a surrogate to be the couple's child, since they base it on the person who gave birth to the child as being the legal mother, until paperwork is signed that transfers the rights over. He also claimed that I am going to have a difficult battle ahead of me trying to reverse that. So he is not only an a-hole and a cheater, but also a manipulative. What a great catch. He's trying to frame his cheating like he's done you some huge favor. Don't fall for it. I definitely know not to fall for that. Also, how much y'all spent on IVF just for this to happen? I'd want him and the surrogate to reimburse part of it. I tried and failed. The doctor and clinic I complained to said the IVF costs were associated with the formation and storage of embryos, and the procedures associated with the insemination, not the outcome. Realistically, I don't see her getting every penny back. Part of the money was used on IVF procedures that did happen, even if they didn't take, which is a known gamble. But any money spent on the surrogate during pregnancy related to medical costs? She probably has a legitimate claim to that. That's the thing, she agreed to be our surrogate because we couldn't afford the costs. A center wanted to find us a surrogate. She didn't get any monetary benefit, except us paying her out-of-pocket costs for medical and transportation expenses. Most of the cost was for the egg retrieval, embryos formation and storage, and especially the IVF procedures, which weren't eligible for insurance cover through her health insurance. The fertility clinic was just involved in the egg extraction, embryo formation, and storage of eggs and embryos. Another medical practice utilized the in vitro fertilization methods with the person I thought would be our surrogate. He did not pick the surrogate for us, it was a personal friend who agreed to do this out of the supposedly kindness of her heart, since she already had 2 prior children and knew that she could carry to term easily and didn't mind being pregnant. Had we gone through a professional surrogacy practice, there would have been other steps involved, and they would have found a few options for surrogates for us, but the costs for it was way too high, which is why we skipped some steps and a lot of money by going through a friend that we thought we could trust. Now I feel like I can trust no one. I don't even feel like I could try surrogacy again far in the future, because my trust in that is broken. Did the surrogate sign papers? Legally you can sue her ass for everything you spent. The only paperwork that was legally drafted was for her transferring over the parental rights to us, much like an adoption, in the event that there is already a mutual off-the-books agreement to adopt from someone you already personally known. We were trying to do it as cheap as possible, because we don't make much money, and the costs that couldn't be avoided were sky-high enough, to the point I took out loans from the bank and then picked up 2 part-time jobs on the side to pay toward these loans. When questioned about her love for the child, I keep vacillating back and forth on this. I have grown to love him, but at the same time it angers me so much looking at him and seeing the resemblance of the girl who was supposed to be my friend. I mentioned before that his eyes are brown. Now that I know the truth, I keep noticing more and more resemblances. I worry I will take my anger out on him. I don't feel I am the safest person to be around him right now with everything going on. Also, what about the surrogate's husband? Does he know about this whole business? That would be very interesting to explain the situation to him. She doesn't have a husband, she had 2 kids with a long-term boyfriend, but they split 5 years or so ago. The funny thing, funny like peculiar, not haha funny, is that she didn't even know she was the baby mama until very recently, when I told her. I guess she thought there was no possible consequence to having sex. There is a real chance that my husband might actually end up becoming a single dad. I don't know how or if the supposed friend who was supposed to be our surrogate would have. She already has 2 kids from a previous relationship who are older. She said before that she was done having kids of her own, which is why she was okay with serving as a surrogate, since it would mean helping out but not having to take the responsibility of raising. I don't know how she feels really, because I haven't talked to her and I do not want to talk to her. The one time I contacted her after my husband confessed, I admit, I exploded on her and she hung up on me a few minutes later. He actually had the audacity to claim that my depression and obsession with pregnancy and having a kid pushed him away. He also said he felt deprived of affection because I was working so much. Even though I was the primary breadwinner and the only responsible spouse keeping up with the bills. If I hadn't taken on extra work, he would not have stepped up, and the loan I took out to pay for uncovered medical expenses, especially IVF, would have gone unpaid. I don't know for sure if it was unprotected or not, I'm assuming it was, but he did make a ridiculous statement that he didn't think anything like this would happen, because he thought maybe he was part of the problem with our lack of conception. It is absolutely ridiculous to say this, because if he was the problem causing the infertility, then they would have never been able to form viable embryos from him and I. I think he said this as a lame excuse. Anyone with half a brain would know not to have relations with a surrogate during the IVF wait period, and more importantly, why would any respectful husband want to anyway? Exactly. Too long, didn't read. I recently found out that a son that my husband and I had born to a surrogate, since I'm infertile, is biologically my husband's kid, but not mine. My husband confessed that he slept with my friend, who served as surrogate, during the long IVF process, so the kid is actually conceived of an affair between my husband and friend/surrogate. I am filing for divorce and looking to give up my parental rights, so I can move away and get a clean break from the whole situation without having to owe child support for a kid that's not mine. Some friends agree with my plan, but my husband and parents think I'm in the wrong to just cut off a kid I raised for 2 years. Okay, this is a tough one for me. Yes, OP has every right to have a fresh start, without the constant reminder of everything she went through in her marriage, her husband's and supposed friend's betrayal, and that the son she thought was biological hers, isn't. If it was just about divorcing her husband or cutting ties with the, quote, friend, I would say that OP is definitely not the idiot. And overall, I don't think she's the idiot at all. I think both OP and the child are the victims here, and her husband's attempt to guilt-trip her into accepting all of this, saying that it's basically like she adopted the child all along, it is ridiculous, to say the least. What an a-hole. The only thing about this, that doesn't make this whole situation way worse in my opinion, is that they didn't know that the child was biologically theirs. Husband and his supposed friend didn't deceive her, at least in that sense, of purposely giving her their son for her to raise. That doesn't excuse them, but at least they are just cheating a-holes, and not complete psychopaths. I don't know if OP intends to or can sue them. With her husband for sure, she'll try to get what she can in the divorce, but as she also said in the post, she was the breadwinner, at least before, so if things stay the same in that regard, I don't know how much she'll be able to get from him. And regarding her parents' behavior, and perhaps also other people's, on asking her to reconsider giving up her parental rights, it is because at this moment this is all very fresh and painful. And yes, knowing her situation, it makes sense for her to leave all this behind and start over, but unfortunately she may regret it later. Because after the anger passes, the love she feels for this child may end up being greater than the pain she is feeling right now, and she may end up regretting giving him up. At the same time, if she continues to raise the boy just as an obligation, she may develop resentment towards him, because he will be a constant reminder of what her husband did to her, and if she continues to be the child's mother, her ex will always be a part of her life. And she has to realize if she is willing to do so. So even though I think it's horrible for someone to abandon a child, in this situation I understand why OP would choose this. I don't think she's an idiot if she don't want to continue raising the boy, especially if she wants to completely cut ex-husband and her ex, quote, friend out of her life. But I also don't think she is one, if she wants to be his mother, legally she still is, and apparently his biological parents don't want to change that anytime soon. But it has to be her decision, hers alone, and people will have to accept it, but whatever her decision is, I don't think she will be the idiot. And what do you guys think of this awful situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Would you do the same as her or not? And what advice would you give OP on how to deal with this situation? Don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Now let's read what the comments say before going to the update. Not the idiot, if you do not want to be a mother to this child, I understand why. I would caution you on giving up your parental rights because that could be used against you in the court of public opinion. I would talk to a lawyer about a breach of contract, since she was supposed to carry a baby that was genetically yours, then look into having your name removed from the birth certificate. The child was conceived through cheating and you were made to believe this child was conceived through IVF, there could be an argument there to have you removed from the birth certificate. Doing this makes it perfectly clear you were never the mother of this child, as opposed to a bitter woman who gave up her parental rights out of spite, when she got the news that the baby she always wanted did not meet her exacting standards. And believe me, this will be the way your ex and the ex-friend will paint it. Also, doing it this way forced the ex-friend to face the repercussions of what she did. Best of luck to you. Thank you, that is sage advice. I will definitely heed this when I talk to a lawyer soon. I am still going through consultations, and figuring out what my best course of action would be lawyer-wise. He cheated, it's not yours. I will absolutely tell you what I tell men posting this. It would be wonderful if you love the kid enough to stay, but if you're in shock and damaged too much to do so, you aren't the a-hole for walking away. Not the idiot, and I'm glad to see most of the replies so far agree. I hope we keep this energy up for anyone put in this spot from now on. Not the idiot, one of the things that gets me is that you were working extra jobs to pay for the surrogacy, which I am assuming included her medical bills and financially supporting her? I would speak to a solicitor about suing her for your money back. She knew that if she was having sex, then there was always a chance that the child was biologically hers. Not the idiot like you, I could not look at the child without resentment and betrayal. That is so unfair to the child. Tell your parents that the child deserves to be raised by a loving parent, and you are so disappointed in them. So sorry you are going through this. And what about you guys? Do you agree with the comments? Would advise anything else to OP? If so, don't forget to leave your thoughts down below. Oh, and I hope you are enjoying the video so far. If so, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notifications to know when a new video is out. Now let's read the update that OP gave us months later, but it seems like, unfortunately, things aren't going well for her. Update. I'm low on time right now, but we'll be posting a separate update post later. I'm not staying and I'm not caring for him anymore. I was not even offered a choice in the matter at all, which is why I've kept telling myself I shouldn't want to compare myself to men in a similar type of parentage situation, and have kept myself aloof toward the boy I thought was mine. I have no legal rights anymore no matter what, because she fought to get her son back. I'm actually a lot more upset about losing this child than I presented in my post, and I'm realizing more and more with each passing day. The choice wasn't mine and I lost. I posted that I wouldn't want to be the sucker raising someone else's kid, as more of a cope than anything. She got to have her kid, he left me, and I'm stuck with nothing. And the update continues when OP replies to this comment. At this point, her being able to even continue being a legal guardian is in question. Now that maternity has been established, she has no legal right to the child, since surrogate contracts are created so that the biological parents have all rights. At least that is my understanding of them. And yes, that is exactly what I've been going through all these months. I have little to no rights, I'm stuck coping with major loss. My best chance at still being this boy's guardian is to stay with that awful scrub of a guy, hope he lets me stay, and agreeing to let that slore of a friend have 50-50, and be the chump who still pays most of the bills for that unmotivated scrub a-hole, in the meantime, while he continues to cheat. It also came out that she wasn't his only affair either. He's been cheating all along for most of the time that we'd been trying without success to get pregnant. So for anyone who acts like I'm selfish, or I make their blood boil, they can go F themselves, because they don't know me like that, and I don't have any real choice in the matter. Well OP, I'm so sorry for everything that happened. Unfortunately, this was a risk that we knew it could happen once you found out you were not biologically the child's mother. And even though I know that your intention in the initial post was to give up your parental rights, I understand how bad you must be feeling now. That's probably why your parents wanted to make you change your mind so much. They knew that when the anger passed, you might regret this decision, because you love this boy, and he was your son, but now unfortunately you no longer have that choice. As you said, the only way you can stay in this child's life is by going back to your cheating ex-husband, or maybe by reaching an agreement with your ex-friend, two people that I really don't think should be in your life at all. I'm really sorry that you're going through this. Also, regarding what you said about your ex, unfortunately it's no surprise that he cheated on you with other women, and you said he only cheated when you started trying to get pregnant. I'm sorry, but I doubt that's the true. It's quite impossible that he was already cheating on you for a long time before. Unfortunately you have to start considering this as a possibility. And also you said, quote, he left me. What do you mean he left you? You left him, didn't you? And if he did, what would be the problem? Did you want him back? I really hope that was not the case. Anyway, I hope you can get over this soon, or however long it takes, and that you can find your happiness again. Good luck OP. And that's it for today everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.